Misinformation is a big deal to all journalists and really everyone. Here at CREM, we even have a special segment to fight it called Verify. Now, a communication professor at Washington State University wants to help high schoolers and even middle schoolers verify information on their own. Jordan Foley joins us this morning to talk about Misinfo Day at WSU. Good morning, Jordan. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Jordan, this is such an important topic right now. You think about kids these days, teenagers, everyone. We're inundated with information online, but not all of it is true. So tell us a little bit about the mission of your program.
Well, Misinfo Day it's my first year being associated with it, but I'm really excited to be a part of it. We have a full panel or a full day of panels from 9:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon, covering all sorts of different aspects of misinformation, including how students should be fact-checking information that they come across, tactics and strategies for understanding not just how to track down and identify correct information, but also more systematically to help students understand what a disinformation campaign looks like, what tactics they typically employ, to give them a better sense of how they can respond to them when they come across them in their everyday life.
Yeah, you know, it really is in their everyday lives. You think about all the different social media channels that teens follow, all of us follow. Let's backtrack a little bit, though, for someone watching who might be like, what is misinformation? You could probably break down that actual term, but explain to folks what misinformation is.
So misinformation, in contrast to things like you would hear disinformation is another familiar term that people come across, or even fake news, which is a little bit of something that more people may have come across. When we talk about misinformation, though, what we're really talking about is an information that is false, that is intentionally spread by people who already know that the information is false. And so, we're not necessarily just talking about people in your family who are sharing information that may not be true. That's one thing, and it's a component of what disinformation campaigns attempt to create. But the focus, I think, of most of the events and the panels for the day are going to be focused on how people are able to identify the campaigns that are intentionally disseminating false information, the tactics that they use to travel across platforms and ultimately find their ways not only onto one social media outlet, but across all social media platforms and to permeate their social media space.
Yeah, and why is this so important to learn about? Why is it important to learn about misinformation, and why focus on middle and high school students?
Those are great questions. I think, middle and high school students are in a phase of their lives where the research is really showing that when we talk about how students engage and talk about politics, middle school and high school are really formative years for that. And communication patterns within families about how they talk about politics are really important, but really what happens in the classroom, their interactions with their peers, and when they're in school are really where they develop kind of these information hygiene habits of tracking down correct information and being able to not just identify it, but also have conversations with people about these things. And the reason why I think it's so important generally, and the reason why I think it's so hard, is because it's, solving the disinformation problem is not just an event. It's not a thing that happens and then suddenly we don't have to deal with it anymore. It's a constant process of building habits for when you're encountering information and making sure that you're doing, your due diligence to track down and proactively seek out good information. Because the more that we sort of approach information abundance by saying, well, if it's important, we'll just hear about it from, people on my social media feeds or people in my life, the more likely we are to be susceptible to these kinds of tactics. And so really instilling sort of the habits of, and the process of navigating a complicated information environment is not just difficult, it's essential for students who are sort of really solidifying their identities and who they are and what they think about the world, and really getting them exposed to these ideas as early as possible is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's good information. And we're out of time, and there's a lot more that we can talk about. We're going to be posting some of the resources to your resources on our Up with CREM Facebook page, and we'll post that here shortly. All right, thanks for being with us, Jordan. We'll be right back.